Hi, we're Josh and Vanessa from Destined For Wild, and you're listening to the Canadian 4x4 podcast. I said that wrong, didn't I?
It's okay.
I said it backwards.
It's all good. People know what it is, so it's all good.
Literally, as it was coming out, I'm like, this isn't right.
I'm your host, Wes. Tricia tonight is unable to make it. She might pop in a little bit later on, but she's stuck in that horrible Toronto traffic on a Friday on a long weekend. She may come later. We'll see. But guys, I'm so looking forward to talking to you tonight. I know we met briefly in Vernon a couple weeks ago, and I want to talk definitely about your trip all through South America. So excited about this. Before we get into it, I just want to mention to our listeners to go back and check out last week's episode with Zach from The Lost Spike. It was a really neat interview because he's one of our East Coast listeners. And we've only had a few of East Coasters on here. And Zach was able to talk to us about Newfoundland and New Brunswick and all that area over there. It's absolutely gorgeous. I want to get over there and to check it out. But if you haven't heard it, go back and listen to Zach from Lost Spike. And check him out at Lost Spike on Instagram. And see all his travels in his 4Runner, as well as some of his older stuff in his Hyundai Tucson. So I don't know if you guys imagine overlanding in a Hyundai Tucson, but there's lots of people doing it in Subarus and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely go back and check it out. And let's roll right into it with you guys. Josh and Vanessa, Destined for Wild, you guys traveled through South America in your Toyota Land Cruiser.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Yep. So we'll give a shout out to you guys on Instagram and YouTube. It's Destined for Wild on both channels. And definitely check you out. We'll put that in the show notes as well, too. So you're a young couple based in Vernon, British Columbia, which I don't know if we're not, but I think you guys are about the 4th or 5th guest from Vernon.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah. Vernon is a hotbed for some reason. We've got Mike from the Unexpected Off-Road. He's on that event going to Vernon. He texts me, are you here? Are you coming? I'm like, I'm just at the store for a second. I got this couple you got to meet. They are so cool. It's cool. Yeah, we've had Mike from Okanagan Overlanding. We've Sherry from Sunny and Cher with the yellow FJ and that. So it's pretty neat. Vernon's a neat little area. But let's stop talking about Vernon. Let's start talking about South America. Mm-hmm. What prompted you guys to just pack up and spend 9 months and travel down through South America?
So there's quite a few different things. I'll start on the gist of where the idea started.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I actually saw somebody think that this was a possible trip probably about a decade ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I just obsessed over it, loved the idea of it, and had just talked about how I wanted to do this someday in my life. Fast forward a few years, Vanessa and I met. We were talking about this the entire time we've been dating, married, everything. And we just kept talking about how someday we were going to do this. And how this would be such a cool thing just to drive the entire Pan Am, which is basically northern Alaska to southern Argentina. So it's all of North America, Central America, and South America.
Mm-hmm.
So just kept talking about how one day we wanted to do it.
Yeah. And so, we were talking about it forever, but we never actually pulled the trigger on it. We just kept being like, oh, someday we'll go. And then, to be honest, a few years ago, my mom was diagnosed with cancer and she passed away within 5 months of her diagnosis. And after that, we realized that life is really short. My mom was getting close to retirement age. My stepdad was just retired and they were planning on traveling and doing stuff. And all of a sudden, she gets sick and can't enjoy any of her retirement. So we decided that we don't want to wait until we're retired to actually enjoy traveling and enjoy our lives. So we know we're healthy now and we don't mind sitting in a truck for many hours on end each day driving. So we're like, let's just go.
Yeah. We figured we're young, we're healthy. We don't have kids. We don't have debt.
Yeah.
We're self-employed. So the only thing really holding us back at this point is us just saying we can't go.
Yeah, exactly.
So we just picked a date and just decided, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
That is so awesome because there's so many people, myself included, that we daydream about these trips and forever and ever, and we just never do it. And you guys just took the plunge and just did it. That is so awesome.
Yeah. And that's the thing, wanted to do it forever. And at the end of the day, for most things in your life, you're the only one that's holding yourself back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that resonates with me for sure. And with a lot of people. And the older you get, like you mentioned, you don't have any debt and stuff like that. The older you get, there's more debt, there's house stuff, there's all that stuff, and it starts piling up. And there's lots of things I would love to do like that, but I got to get rid of some debt first. But you guys are definitely proof that you can do it kind of idea. Let's roll it back a little bit. I know you guys did not start off in a 80 series Land Cruiser.
Nope.
No. There was several lines of vehicles that were thought and dreamt about until we landed on the 80 series.
Yes.
So basically, when I first started this idea, I had a Toyota LE van, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Which was a piece of garbage, but I loved it more than anything.
The door was falling, like the sliding door would fall off whenever
you slammed it.
Yeah.
And basically was like, all right, if this is something that I'm serious about, we need to get something that's better than this. Over the years, we had a Mitsubishi Delica that we fully built that out over COVID.
Mm-hmm.
In plans of doing the Pan Am with it.
Yeah.
And then it was right-hand drive. And in some Central American countries, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and I think potentially Panama, right-hand drive vehicles are actually prohibited.
Yeah.
So you can't actually have them in the country or drive them in the country.
Mm-hmm.
That basically threw a whole wrench into our plan. So decided not to take the van because we wanted to do all of Central America.
Yeah.
So then started to look around, started to research basically what vehicle would be good for this. And I hyper-focused, obsessed over this for years.
Yeah.
And basically the things that I was looking into were what vehicles are the most reliable vehicles ever made, most durable vehicles ever made, vehicles are every country in the world, what vehicles are easy to fix. And basically all these random questions just into the details. And the things that kept coming up were 1, Toyota, and 2, Land Cruisers. I was okay, that seems like a good sign.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously a lot of other Toyotas came up as well.
Yeah.
In the time between the van, we had Tacoma, we had a 4Runner that we bought, had, and then sold to get up to the Land Cruiser.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we didn't build those ones completely.
No.
Because we were like, let's suss it out first.
Yeah.
And it was funny because we thought we had found a 4Runner that we were pretty set on.
Yeah.
And basically got it, brought it home, started dreaming, and brought it to my mechanic, and a couple things came up where it was like, no, this just isn't the right one.
Yeah.
And from the very beginning, when we first started looking, a Land Cruiser was always the goal, but Land Cruiser are not super common in Canada.
Yeah, they're so hard to find, especially left-hand drive ones.
Yeah, because in Canada, we basically only got the JDMs and then a handful of the US that crossed over, but they were never actually produced in Canada.
Yeah.
We just figured, all right, this isn't possible. And when this issue came up with the 4Runner, it was funny because I had been looking for years for a Land Cruiser. They were always way too expensive or just completely thrashed. And we're just like, you know what? This isn't going to work for us. So the day that I found out that the 4Runner was going to work, I was like, shoot, I want to start looking for something else now because that's what I do. Vanessa will tell anybody I look at Facebook Marketplace more than anyone.
Oh, I shop on the cars.
And the day we found this out, a Land Cruiser came up about 45 minutes from where we live.
Yeah.
For half the price of any other one that I had seen posted.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, this is too good to be true. Let's go look at it and see.
Yeah.
Looked at it. It was good.
Yeah.
Got inspected. Everything came back as good.
Yeah.
Because it had been posted for over a year as well on Facebook.
Yeah, which is weird that it didn't come up in our search or anything.
Because it had never come up before.
No. We're looking at Marketplace constantly and that Land Cruiser never came up.
No. So then
weird.
Yeah.
Basically, we just decided, you know what? Let's just pull the trigger. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So we bought it. At that point, we had 5 cars in our driveway. So sold all the other ones that we weren't bringing on our trip.
Well, except
for one. And basically, we're like, all right, let's just start running with this dream we didn't think was unattainable because now we have this piece.
Yeah. We have
the unicorn we were looking for.
Vehicle, we're like, okay, this is meant to be. We have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got some friends that have 80 series here in Kamloops, and they're great vehicles. They're stout. I've worked on them. I've wheeled with the guys, and they're, as long as you maintain them, overall, they're pretty good vehicles. So
they're amazing.
Other than gas mileage.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. That's the thing we always say. It's more like miles per miles. Because, people would ask us what our fuel economy is. I don't look.
No, we don't want to put it.
It's not good.
Too scared.
Realistically.
So being a left-hand drive, then your guys' was a gas engine then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really wanted the diesel engine, but it is very hard to find. Well, in North America, it's almost impossible to find them.
Yeah.
There were some that were in Dubai, Central America, and some in Europe that were left-hand drive and diesel.
Yeah.
But I've only ever seen one or two in North America.
Yeah.
And those were, they were all like shipped from somewhere else in the world and very difficult to find.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. A friend of mine did have a right-hand drive diesel, and he ended up having a small rollover, and he bought a left hand and swapped everything into it. So he's got a left-hand diesel.
Yeah.
So
that's what we were actually going to do. Is when our trip was coming to an end, we had put like a lot of mileage on everything, and basically we blew all the rings in the engine. Yeah. Transmission had a hole in it, so we're like, we need to swap this when we get home. And I wanted to do the diesel. The dream all along was a diesel. I found a diesel.
Yeah.
And for the engine and the transmission alone, I got quoted $35,000 Canadian for just the parts, not any labor. I ended up just buying another gas and the same transmission for $2,500. Yeah. And swap those in, and those do fine.
They're very good vehicles right from the factory. But you guys have done some mods in order to make this trip.
Yes, we did. We did one or two things. So basically, we got the truck stock, though.
We did.
Which is quite unheard of for Land Cruisers as well, which is pretty impressive. Do you want me to run through what we did to it?
Sure, yeah. Let's run through the modifications. We'll hold off to the end of your trip down to the States where you guys cut the roof open. But let's do all the other ones quickly. You bet.
Okay.
So we did upgraded suspension, new tires. So we added a 2.5-inch lift, went to 33-inch tire on a 17-inch rim. We added a snorkel, a pre-cleaner, and then we added armor. So we added a rear bumper with tire swing and fuel carrier. We had a front bull bar that was aluminum with a winch in it. And then that's honestly all we really did to modify the vehicle before we left, because I wanted to keep it mechanically as stable as possible. Mm-hmm. So besides like the snorkel, so there's like cold air going in.
Yeah.
That was the only real like mechanical thing that I modified besides the suspension.
Yeah.
And then on the inside, you guys put your sleeping quarters kind of like, well, they're more up in your tent upstairs kind of idea. So
they're more up in the tent. So basically what we've done is we also chopped the roof off, like you said. So we added something called the Camp Tech conversion, which is it's a company out of Colorado, and they basically turn a Land Cruiser into essentially give it a Westphalia roof. Yeah. So it's a super capable Westphalia. And then we built out a full like little living area inside that has like our fridge, we have storage, we have full electrical, so we have interior lights, all of that stuff. Solar panel. And basically just made it so we had a fully off-grid livable little unit.
Yeah.
So you guys went down to Colorado to get the top basically installed. Did you guys have the inside built at that time kind of idea or roughed in?
Oh
no, we had our old sleeping platform from like our first van.
Yeah, from our first van.
Threw it in the back.
It was like a bed on 2x4 platform.
Yeah.
With a Yeti cooler.
Yeah, with a Yeti cooler. And that's what we drove down to Colorado with.
Yeah.
The truck was completely stock.
Yeah.
Had no armor. Yeah. Essentially had nothing at all, really. And we just went through the roof on, and then we're like, all right. Well, we're doing this now.
We stopped at Overland Expo PNW on the way.
True, yeah. So we did stop at Expo first en route to Colorado to get the roof cut off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Expo, that's where you got some more ideas probably and stuff like that as well too. But what was the name of the company that did your conversion again? Sorry.
It's called Camp Tech.
Okay.
Like TEQ Tech.
Gotcha. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I do have to mention to our listeners to go and check out Destined For Wild on YouTube, and you can see them doing the install and cutting the roof. And that was, imagine, hard to do a little bit just to watch it unfold.
Oh, yeah. At that point, there's no turning back.
No.
I remember the point of coming in after we actually had removed the sunroof and the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then standing there was like, okay, we either destroyed our car or we're finishing this. Let's just keep going.
It wasn't his first time doing it. So.
No.
Yeah.
Was the 20th one that he had done.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
You're committed now, right?
Oh, exactly. But not mad about it.
Is that one of your best modifications that you did?
Oh, 100%.
Easily by far.
Yeah.
It made our living space so much more comfortable. I feel like if we didn't have that, we'd not have been able to last traveling for as long as we did.
Mm-hmm.
Being like having to crouch inside and stuff, or
Yeah.
being able to stand up and sit up straight inside, it's really nice.
It basically made, because that was one thing that was a huge plus for us, is because we had like other vans and stuff in the past, we knew what we didn't like about them and what we wanted to change.
Yeah, we were like, we want a pop top. We want to stand inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like in our van, like we'd go to the island a lot and go surfing. And so it rains a lot on the island.
Yeah.
So we'd be in the van and you weren't able to stand in the van. So we knew from simply just that and just a couple week trips here and there that we wanted to have something that we could have space in, not like necessarily more room, but just be able to stand and be able to live comfortably in. Yeah.
It totally makes sense to me. Even the fact of getting changed and stuff like that, right?
Exactly.
Like,
Yes. So much.
that's one thing about the rooftop tent is I'm doing that shimmy to slide my pants on before I go outside. And
It's like hot and humid. Oh, I was trying to slide on.
Yeah. It's never an
well,
enjoyable time.
that's the other thing too. Having that pop top allows a little bit of a breeze in there. Because I can't imagine trying to sleep in the back of the Land Cruiser with just some windows open.
Oh yeah, that was the thing. Is there was a few times. So what we did when we did our build as well, because we copied a build that somebody else had done a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I basically was talking to them about what didn't you like about your build? What was something that was annoying? Whatever. And they kept saying that they didn't have a spot to sleep inside if they needed to.
Yeah, they could stealth camp.
Yeah, they couldn't stealth camp. So that was a big thing. And immediately I was like, okay, we need to think about how to build the inside where this works not only for just living space, but be able to actually sleep in here and sleep comfortable enough.
Yeah.
That's actually a really good point about
there was
stealth
a few
camp.
nights we slept inside, and it was very hot sleeping inside in South America.
Yeah, we had a leaf on the bench where it'd flip over and turn it into not a full bed. It's like a twin size bed.
It was smaller than a twin size. But if we were laying side by side, Vanessa's shoulder would be against the wall.
Yeah.
And the counter would basically cut me in half.
Yeah, it was like big. It was not comfortable. We never slept good ever when we slept down below.
We were always upset about it when we had to.
Yeah, like there's a few times we're okay, but it's because we slept like head to foot opposite.
Yeah.
That helped.
So not the most ideal, but it works still.
Yeah.
What you have to do, right? So after you did your modifications with the pop top on it, you guys headed south down into Mexico, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we went home after that.
Actually, yeah. Sorry, yeah, we came home.
The timeline's a little jumbled there.
The timeline's a little all over the place because we got the camp tech installed.
I think the summer before we left, we got the camp tech put on. Then we went back home.
Yeah, we got it in July, and we left in January.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're home for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I will say we were building the truck up until December 31st.
Yeah, it was the day before. We were like packing and like doing.
I still remember I rented a shop so we could work on it.
Yeah.
Because it was winter in Canada.
Yeah, very cold.
And I still remember it was 11:30 at night in the shop on the 31st. We were leaving the next morning and just standing there being like, whatever's going to happen is going to happen now. Like, we're here. Happy New Year.
Yeah. So you headed out January 1st. That's a great way to start a new year for sure. You guys head down through into Mexico, and I believe that's where you had your first little incident, eh?
Yeah.
So it was funny because so much was going on that we were expecting to go wrong that didn't happen. And the thing we didn't expect to happen did happen.
Yeah.
So basically, our drive shaft exploded on the freeway because a U-joint overheated. It punched a fist-sized hole through the transmission, punched a hole in the floor of the truck, dented the frame, and we proceeded to then dump out all of our transmission fluid on the side of the highway.
Yeah.
In Sinaloa State in Mexico during a lot of cartel unrest. So it was interesting. Got stranded on the side of the highway for about 9 hours over miscommunication and us not knowing Spanish.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. You went to South America without knowing Spanish?
Yeah.
We didn't know it very well. We're doing Duolingo, but that was about it.
I had about a year streak on Duolingo before we left.
I learned out of necessity.
You had 10 years to prepare for that.
Yeah, I was just thinking about what car we were going to bring. I was thinking about the different languages to learn.
Logistics of a trip after that.
We're like young and dumb still, so like we can get away with it.
Yeah, definitely won a lot of things on the trip.
If you want to do this, learn Spanish.
Hell, it's not like you must, but it will make it a lot easier for you.
And a lot better.
I bet. So sorry to interrupt you there, but going back to the transmission issue.
Yeah. That was a fun day. We had actually, that was the day we ferried over from Baja to mainland Mexico. That was, like I said, when all the, I think it was,
It's a few days after, because we were driving down still when that happened.
That was the same day.
No, it wasn't. So I remember we were gone. We slept somewhere farther down south after going across the ferry.
Oh.
And then I got food poisoning that night, and then it continued on to the next day, and that's the same day that the transmission got a hole in the truck went down.
Vanessa had food poisoning and was sick the entire day. We were stuck on the side of the highway.
Yeah.
And we ended up getting towed in the middle of the night by a guy in a pickup truck with a chain.
Yeah.
And the way he told us to slow down or go faster was waving his hand out the window.
Yeah.
Also in the middle of the night, so you can't see him.
Mm-hmm.
He towed us back to his town and basically just said, leave your cars and keys here. It will be okay. And he brought us to a hotel, got us set up for the night. And I will say he patched our transmission with JB Weld.
Yeah.
It held the entire trip and still held to get us back to Canada.
Yeah.
So I swear by JB Weld now. I have it in every vehicle I own.
It works.
And recommend it to everybody. So just go buy JB Weld and have it in your car.
I saw your Instagram post today and the other day where you guys are putting in the new engine and transmission now. And literally, we're not sponsored by JB Weld, but we are huge fans.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. It is. I'm pretty sure we own every single type of JB Weld now.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Josh has an arsenal.
Always loaded.
An Overlander's best friend.
Exactly.
So you guys got up and running again in Mexico, and you start heading south again. What would be the next stop? Is that into Panama?
No. So there is a lot of countries in between, but we moved pretty quick through.
Yeah, we went to Belize after Mexico and met up with some other Canadians. We're driving a Land Cruiser as well, which is fun.
Actually, they had a diesel left-hand 80 series.
Yes.
That was the one of the two that I have seen outside of somewhere else.
Yeah, but we traveled with them for like almost a month.
Yeah.
And then parted ways with them in Guatemala. That we went to, where did we go after Guatemala? El Salvador after Guatemala.
Yeah.
Then to Nicaragua, and then to Costa Rica, then Panama.
And Honduras was in there too, but we were in Honduras for all of 6 hours.
Yeah, we just drove through it because we didn't really have much we wanted to see there. We're tired of the hot Caribbean heat.
Yeah, so we thought it would get better going more south.
It got worse.
And it just proceeded to get worse and worse.
Yeah.
The hottest it got on our trip was 47 degrees and 100% humidity.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was the hottest Panama had been in about 30 years, I think, is what it said. So we basically hit a heat dome in Latin America, which was super sweet.
Yeah, it was great.
With no AC. Living in a tent.
Oh, no AC?
In a car. So the truck has AC, but when we're camping, we don't have AC.
Okay.
We have a fan.
Gotcha. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. The truck has AC. I made sure to get.
So you guys are traveling through Central America, and I noticed on the video with Belize that you guys hit the Maya ruins. How is that?
Yeah. Like, it's amazing.
They're so cool. There's so many too, Mayan ruins. Like, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So we went to a lot of ruins in Belize, but we went to actually the largest set of Mayan ruins, which is in Guatemala and Tikal.
Yeah, it's the biggest Mayan city.
And we were only there for a day, but we went around for 4 hours.
Yeah.
And we were there 4 hours, and we saw maybe a quarter of it.
Yeah, it was huge.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Like, we saw just the big things.
Yeah.
But there's so much more to it. It's insanely huge. And they have, I believe, they're the largest mass-wise and the largest structure-wise as well, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So that was pretty amazing.
Yeah,
but they were all over Central America, are the Mayans, and then in South America, it was the Inca. Yeah.
I love history. That's something that would be totally right up my alley. And to actually go along and touch something that is thousands of years old is just mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
And it was cool as well. Like, there's, like, the thing that you'll learn about the Mayans is on their ruins, they painted them different colors. And different colors meant different levels of, like, wealth of your town or of your village.
Yeah.
So, like, some were red, some were yellow, and the most valuable ones were purple.
I think so.
Because it was, I believe it was from a plant or a berry. I'm blanking on what it was called.
Yeah, it was, like, hard to get. Yeah.
But it's incredibly hard to get. But if they were a purple structure, they had the most wealth because they could just casually paint entire buildings with that.
Yeah.
Wow, that is so cool.
Buy it. You can still buy the powder. And I think, I'm blanking on what it was now. One of our friends was telling us it was like $1,200 for a pound of it or something.
Yeah, it was insane.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Like, it's an insane amount of money for it.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, yeah, you can't just get this. And I think, actually, no, sorry, it wasn't a pound. I think it was an ounce. It was $1,200 or something. It was ridiculous expensive anyways.
Yeah.
I thought house paint was expensive. I'm not bouncing around here a bit, guys. Sorry. But let's talk about sandboarding into a volcano.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was Nicaragua?
Yeah, just outside the city of Leon, there is Cerro Negro, which is their youngest volcano. But it's also, like, small enough where you can sandboard on it. So we did a tour through a hostel in Leon. And we felt very old being on this tour because everyone was like 18 and backpacking. And they're like, oh my gosh, you guys are married? What? How old are you?
That was so like funny. One of the first times in my life realizing, I'm like, oh, I'm not in my young 20s.
We were like 27 when we were doing this. We're like, we're not that old. But anyways, we take this tour bus, like a school bus. A school bus up like this dirt road going up to the base of the volcano. There. And then we hike up around to the top. And then we put on these orange jumpsuits, like inmate suits.
Yeah.
And these sketchy long little pieces of wood with a string on it.
It was basically a piece of plywood with a 2x4 at one end of it.
Yeah, and a string.
And that's what we were given to ride on.
And we got goggles, and I think we had to wear a bandana to protect our mouth.
You had to wear a bandana.
Yeah.
And it was wild.
It was so cool, but it was scary. But you can control how fast you go with putting your feet in the ground.
The land speed record for a bicycle was also done there.
Yeah.
And if you've ever seen the video of a guy bombing down a volcano on a bike and his bike cracks in half and explodes and he tomahawks all the way down, that's where we went volcano boarding.
Yeah.
It's the same spot.
Yeah. So we were going down, like we would all take our turns and go down. And there was one of the tour guides at the bottom had a radar gun. And he would record how fast you were going near the bottom. Josh, I think, clocked in at like 80 kilometers an hour.
I think so.
And I clocked in at 20. Yeah, I was so scared.
Somebody's using the brakes.
Yeah, Josh, like, I'm going to go fast. I'm going to be the fastest of the group, so he didn't even slow down.
That was my only goal. And I was like, I felt really old at that point, and I was like, now you gotta do something reckless because you gotta prove you're still cool.
Yeah, that was really fun.
So you're sitting on a piece of plywood, flying down a hill at 80 kilometers an hour. That's awesome.
And the way to stop was put your feet down.
Yeah.
But it's
at 80 kilometers an hour.
80 kilometers an hour. Just, put your feet down. So it was pretty fun. Thankfully, I didn't fall. A girl in our group did fall, and she got pretty cut off.
Yeah. But she's okay, but she got cut up pretty bad. It's unfortunate.
Lava rock, that's brutal.
Yeah, it's pretty sharp. Like the stuff you get at like garden centers, it's similar but sharper.
Yeah.
So, did you guys do a lot of different things like that? I know you guys did some hiking and stuff like. You guys took your time going down, ending up down into Argentina, right? So,
Yeah. We did a few different things.
We did Volcano Acatenango in Guatemala, which is outside of Antigua.
We hiked that, which is the volcano next to it is an active volcano.
Yeah.
So you hike it during the day, and then you can stay there overnight, and you can actually see the volcano erupting throughout the night.
It's so cool. You can hear it, and you can feel it rumbling, and it's really cool. It's a kilometer away.
Yeah.
So it's like really cool.
Wow.
And it goes off about every 15 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And then we got to hike up and watch it at sunrise, which was
probably one of our highlights of the trip.
It was one of the most beautiful things.
Hike. It was so beautiful.
Just like a volcano poking out of a sea of clouds.
Yeah, it was
amazing.
Incredible. Like, can't unless you see it in person.
And then we did some like cenotes in Mexico. We did some more caves in Belize.
Yeah. And then lots of waterfall hikes.
Yeah, a lot of waterfall hikes.
South America, we did a little bit of hiking, but we more just went with our friends because they really liked hiking.
Yeah, they really liked hiking, so we went with them. We did the saltiest pool in the world in Chile.
Yes.
Or not, maybe not the world, but like one of the saltiest lakes in the world is in Chile. So you can go into it and you just will float.
Yeah.
Because of how much salt is in it.
Wow.
That was insane.
It was really cold.
Yeah.
We did an Amazon tour in Ecuador.
Yes.
So we actually went out into the Amazon for a few days.
That was really cool. Stayed in this really down hut. And there's cockroaches.
So sorry, you basically go into the Amazon, and being from BC, that is something totally different for you guys. How is that? Like, how does that feel going into something like the? Imagine a lot of South America had some of the jungle stuff, right?
Yeah,
it was wild because it is so dense. It's hard to describe.
Yeah,
and how dense the jungle is.
And we were just like in one tiny little section of the greater Amazon rainforest, and we felt like we're so far in, but we weren't even that far in.
And how like around here, like you'll have rivers, but you'll have like river banks.
Yeah.
There's no banks.
Yeah.
It's just cut through and just trees.
Yeah, just like the mangroves everywhere.
And it's hard to describe, honestly, because it's just so vast and so big. And like we went out into like only 2 or 3 hours down like one of the arms.
Yeah.
And it just goes forever.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Like walking around, we did a hike one night, and it's literally so dense. Again, I can't get over how dense it is. Like you can't really see the sky if you look up.
Yeah.
Like it's literally just darkness. It's crazy.
It was so crazy. And we saw so many different birds and animals. It was really cool.
Saw a bunch of like snakes. We saw pink dolphins, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Snakes.
Yeah, we ate a piranha.
Yeah, we went fishing for piranha, and we got to eat the ones we caught.
That's cool. Good. How did they taste?
Pretty good, honestly. They just tasted similar to a lot of white fish.
Yeah, like better than I expected. I thought it would taste like lakey.
Yeah, I thought it was going to taste like grimy.
Yeah.
But it just tasted like honestly like any other like halibut, really.
Yeah. So not bad.
So let's talk about some of the foods. Obviously, that's a whole other world down there. And I've eaten different foods from different ethnic groups and that. And I'm sure there's different foods all the way down. Every country has their own little specialty or whatever you want to call it. What were some of your favorite foods down there?
Ooh.
In El Salvador, they have something called a pupusa, and it's basically just like a cheese stuffed tortilla with like meat and whatever you want in it.
Like the way I describe it is like picture making a grilled cheese, but inside of the bread.
It was so good, and they're only $1 each. They were so cheap.
Oh, but some of them would have meat, vegetables, But it was like, again, it's hard to describe it, but it was basically like stuffed. It was like a pizza pocket.
I like pizza pocket, but get Latin American style.
And different.
Of course, Mexican food was the best. Like, you get set up for disappointment because you go to Mexico. Mexico has amazing food everywhere, and it's cheap. And then you cross into Belize, and Belize had really bad food, honestly.
Belize had
probably the worst food. And then just from...
But Marie Sharp's is one of the best hot sauces and I will stand by this, and it's from Belize.
Yeah, that's good hot sauce. You get it in Canada still, actually.
You can find it some places.
Yeah, and most of Central America is pretty much the same. It's just like beans, rice, and chicken, which is fine. It's pretty cheap too.
Yeah, that's like the standard dish is like beans, rice, chicken, and plantains.
Yeah, so after Mexico, it was kind of new. And then once we hit South America, it started changing and having more variety.
More meats.
Yeah, more different meats. We had guinea pig and alpaca when we were in Peru. And guinea pig was cool. Weird tasting.
Guinea pig was weird.
Yeah. Alpaca was actually pretty good.
Yeah, alpaca just tasted like beef. Guinea pig tasted, the way I've described it is chicken, but sweet.
Yeah, it was weird. And like really fatty.
Yeah.
Like too fatty. It was kind of
gross. It good though?
It wasn't bad.
I'm not mad that I did it. Yeah. Well, like the way I've described it is like I wouldn't be like, oh man, I have to go do this again.
Yeah, no.
Like it was more of the meal for the story, not the meal to hold on to.
Yeah. On Peru's coast was really good ceviche as well.
Yeah.
And then Chile and Argentina just have amazing food all around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I imagine you guys did a lot of your own cooking, but you also stopped these little communities, right? And bought food or bought dinner or whatever there. Are they set up, is it like just like little restaurants kind of deal, or are there more like street vendors?
It's a little bit of everything.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. Like they had, like in Mexico, we did like street vendors a lot. Same with Belize. I think probably around Guatemala is where it gets more prominent, where they're actually like just in like houses, or either houses or like corners of buildings.
Yeah, it wasn't uncommon to like basically be going to someone's house, but it's a restaurant inside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's a little weird to get used to at first.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, it was like that for honestly most of Latin America was just like kitchens like in houses or in corners of people's houses.
They also had like food chains. Like you could find Domino's and Wendy's and McDonald's everywhere too, but they had their own food chains too.
Yeah.
So something like McDonald's, did you guys go in and check it out to see what different food they're doing in McDonald's in, say, Argentina or Chile?
Oh, yeah. It was interesting. We tried, the ones that we went to the most were, I think, McDonald's and Starbucks.
Yeah.
Because those ones came up and it was always like, oh, let's just check it out.
Yeah.
McDonald's was interesting because the food did change.
They did have some like more like local, like ethnic foods there. Like it wasn't just like cheeseburgers.
No, like they had empanadas in Argentina and Chile. They had pupusas.
I don't know, actually. We didn't go in El Salvador.
I thought they did. Maybe not. I don't know.
I don't know. Probably do, though.
Also, this is a weird one for me. Still upset about it. They don't have iced coffee.
Yeah, you can find it anywhere.
Really?
Like any McDonald's.
Yeah.
It's funny because like McDonald's is a place you just go to for cheap coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's 47 degrees. I don't really want to drink hot coffee.
Yeah.
I remember asking for like ice and no idea what I was talking about.
Like, why do you want ice?
I was like, ice, and then the coffee. And it was funny because I was like, I don't know. I'm like, am I saying something wrong? I feel really stupid, but like literally not on the news or anything.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, oh, like this isn't a thing here, I guess.
Yeah.
I've heard that. I've heard that a lot of places they actually drink hot when it's hot because ice will cool you down, but you actually end up running hotter when you're drinking cool drinks. So
yeah, I've heard that too.
Well, and that's the thing that's funny as well is like now understanding that because there's also very common in Latin America is you don't see people wearing shorts.
No,
everybody wears pants and like long sleeve like button up shirts.
Yeah.
And it's interesting is we go down to these hot countries, you wear shorts, t-shirt, you're basically wearing as little as you can.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because when the sun's not on your skin, your body stays cooler.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people just wear long pants and clothes because if the sun's not on your skin, and as well, their pigment is darker, so it attracts more heat. So they just keep it off of their body.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the same idea. Sorry, it's the same idea as when you go into the Middle East, right? When you are with the long shawls or whatever. I don't know the exact terminology, but it's the same idea, right?
Linen and they're breathable, but they're wearing their whole body's covered. That's literally why.
Yeah.
And black half the time too, right? Doesn't make sense. But I guess, like you mentioned, if your sun's not hitting your body, then you will be cooler. So I guess it doesn't
Exactly.
make sense, but it still doesn't make sense. Speaking of that, you guys were gone for what, 9 months, right?
Yeah.
Roughly.
Mhm.
So when you were down there, did you end up changing your clothing to suit more what other people are wearing? Like in regards to, you guys end up starting to wear longer clothing or?
That's a great question. Yes, but I did not plan for that.
We forgot about seasons and how they're opposite in the southern hemisphere.
I didn't bring a jacket. So I had one hoodie, and I'm sure if you really deep dove into our Instagram and our YouTube, I'm wearing the same hoodie the entire time.
Well, you also had your like light puffy jacket. It wasn't very warm.
No.
It was like a base layer, basically, or mid layer.
Yeah.
It was a down jacket or a hoodie.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah. We did not prepare for being very cold. At least we brought like our sleeping bags for that, but we did not bring like heavy duty.
No.
winter
Heavy
jackets.
clothes.
Yeah.
In my head, because I'm an idiot, I thought basically from Mexico all the way down, it would just continue getting warmer.
You were so wrong.
And didn't really think about how there's like a hemisphere and north and south, where basically where we ended was similar to where we live.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Also, so much of the west side of South America is in the Andes range, so they're all high altitude. Bolivia, La Paz is the highest altitude capital city in the world. I forget what the actual altitude is, but it was so cold there.
Oh yeah, it was freezing.
Yeah.
I ended up buying a lot of clothes along the way.
Yeah.
They have a thrift shop I think it's only Central America.
It's in Central America.
It's called Megapaca.
Yeah.
And it is essentially all the stuff that doesn't sell at thrift shops in North America gets shipped down to South America or to Central America, and they sell all of it there. But it's basically in your head, you want to go to a thrift store and find like killer stuff for $1. That's what the store is.
It's amazing.
Everything is like $1 or $2. But we found like North Face, Patagonia. We found like a lot of Carhartt. We found a lot of like very nice brands just there because like I found a marmot down jacket, like a big winter coat there, where it's obviously no one's going to buy this, but somebody did.
Yeah,
because I went back to get it and it was gone.
What the heck?
It's there, and that's where it sells.
Yeah, you never think about it because, say, our winter is, let's say, January, but and our summer is in, say, July, but in July is their winter.
Yeah, it's total opposite. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was weird. I remember when we were there, like you could tell kids were on like summer break, but it was, what was it? It was like February or something, but they were on their summer vacation. So it was just odd because you're like, I don't get why there's kids not at school right now, because it's just different.
Yeah. That's funny. So let's talk about the people. That is probably one of the things I would find the most interesting about a trip like that is all the different people. So people that you're traveling with or other overlanders that you meet, and then also all the local people.
Man, we were surprised with how many people we met and like connections we made with like other travelers. We've probably made some lifelong friends on this trip, which was really cool. Yeah. When we shipped to Colombia, like we had to ship from Panama to Colombia because you can't drive all the way through. And we were paired with another van in the shipping container. And they turned out to be a couple around our age. And they were from California. Well, originally, she's from Germany, he's from California. But they are married and they're doing the same trip as us. And we just like totally clicked with them. We ended up traveling with them for 3 months. Like up into Peru with them, which was really cool.
We still talk to them almost every day.
Yeah, like they're definitely like some lifelong friends, which is so cool. And there's so many more people like that too. This trip. Wow, we just click. I think because we're all just weirdos and we're like, yeah, let's live in our car and drive across the world. Why not?
Yeah. And even just like strangers, it was really cool seeing how many people would like just come up to us and ask, like, where are you from? Mm-hmm. What are you doing here? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Because again, like a couple white kids in the middle of this random town where you're like, why are you here?
Yeah, a lot of locals were definitely really curious. And that's one thing that sucked about the language barrier is a lot of times, like you could tell they just wanted to have conversations like, you're clearly not from here. And I want to know what you're up to. Why are you driving through here? And they're just like really curious. And I had no way to answer other than, we drive south.
Yeah.
We're from Canada. That's all I'm
like,
saying.
It got better near the end, but in the first it was like, what are you doing? We're like, driving.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Tina, I'm trying to say, and I sound like a toddler to them.
Yeah. Because that we found as well is just so much kindness
Yeah.
from every direction.
Yeah. Everyone was so kind. We definitely were very lucky. We didn't run into any sketchy people or people trying to rob us or anything. Everyone was generally just either really curious or really kind and wanting to help us. For the times we had car troubles, we had always had someone that was willing to help us and found a shop or whatever, a mechanic or whatever we needed.
And if they didn't know somebody, like they would find somebody who did or bring us there or something.
Yeah.
Just whatever they could to help us, they went above and beyond for.
Yeah.
Is incredible just because.
Yeah, there's certainly such kind people in Latin America.
And like the quote that I learned that I feel like we still live by this, but it really changed the way viewing people in the world is 99% of the world is truly kind. Only 1% is truly evil. Mm-hmm. So realistically, majority of the people you meet in your day-to-day life are truly going to be kind people.
Yeah.
So if you treat anybody just immediately with just genuine kindness, quite often it's returned. Mm-hmm. And you allow the world to be a more beautiful place because you're not judging anybody based off of first perception.
Yeah.
That's a great quote to remember for the rest of your life. Vanessa, I know you have to leave shortly, so I'm going to ask a question that involves both of you guys.
Okay.
Obviously, you guys are a beautiful, fun-loving couple, and you guys obviously love each other very dearly, but you were in a vehicle with each other for 9 months, stuck together in a vehicle. How did that go?
We both learned that traveling this way will either make or break you as a couple and as individuals, honestly. But either it's going to make you fall apart or make you better. And thankfully it made us better. But I don't think we've ever argued so much in our lives, like married lives or like being together.
I feel like we'd agree. I don't think we fought probably almost every day.
Over the stupidest stuff. And most of the times because we were hangry or we're tired and we just weren't taking care of ourselves because like we had to keep driving.
Yeah,
or we're too hot or something like that. Yeah.
We were putting ourselves through so much, but we're like, oh no, I can't be a burden. But then it's like, why are they upset? Because you're not taking care of yourself because you don't want to be a burden. You're like, you need to take care of yourself.
Yeah, Josh will like be like, what's wrong? Are you okay? I'm like, I'm literally fine. I'm just chilling. And he just be like,
well, your breathing's off though.
Yeah.
So
like, oh my God.
You'd literally just be like, oh yeah, like you sighed weird. So
something's wrong.
What's wrong?
Yeah.
Nothing's wrong. You sighed though.
Yeah.
And then I'd like hyper focus on it. And
yeah.
Guess what you can do when you have this much space apart?
Yeah.
You just keep arguing about why are you breathing like this?
You can't get away from it. Yeah. But we learned just if we need to breathe or one of us would go for a quick little walk down the beach or something, or just one of us would hide up top in the tent and the other would go do something else or something. But we just would be sure to communicate more by the end of it. Where it's like, we have to communicate about these things, else we're just going to keep fighting.
Our communication and our being able to express what we need helped a lot and grew a lot.
Totally, yeah.
So our relationship's actually gotten a lot better.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a good thing for us, but
I can definitely see how
for everybody. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the communication, that's obviously huge in any relationship, whether it's a marriage or even a friendship. But yeah, I can just imagine that there's some times that you're like, God, this person is like breathing wrong. Like, kind of idea, right?
Yeah.
At least at home you can go for a walk or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Where it was funny is like whenever we'd have an argument or something, it was one of those things. I know there's like the quote where it's, oh, never go to bed angry. And like when you're living in a car, you can't do that because you're like, if we're angry still, I have no place to sleep. So you have to talk about it. You figure it out. And sometimes I'm sorry. I apologize for right now. Let's go to bed because we know we love each other, but we need some space.
Yeah.
So those are the times where it's okay. You go, like the wives would go off and do something, or we'd go do something else. But okay, just need to clear my head.
Yeah, even like when we're traveling with our friends, we also communicate. Like, hey, like we just need a little space. Like, we're with people constantly. Sometimes we just need some alone time. So we
learned how to read that couple as well as they learned how to read us as well.
Yeah, we could tell.
So much time together.
Okay,
it's like,
they want some space. Okay, we'll go. Yeah.
That's funny because until I was into my 40s, I lived on my own. I had relationships, but I always had my own place. And when I moved in with my ex, that's something that I struggled with because being around somebody all the time. So I can imagine doing a trip like that for 9 months. But you guys survived it, and you guys are a fun, loving, bubbly couple. So you actually did good with it. So that's great. Having said that, what advice can you give to people that are thinking about doing a trip like this?
First thing comes to mind to me is you don't have to have everything ready and perfect before you go. You can have everything planned down to a T, and you start your trip and something goes wrong immediately or whatever, like something goes off not according to plan. Don't stress over the tiny details so much. Just have your bases covered, the things that you are like the necessities for you before you go. And then the rest of the stuff you can figure out along the way, because you could change your mind about a lot of stuff that you thought you needed after you're actually living your vehicle and traveling that way. You'd be like, oh, actually, I don't need this stuff. There was so much stuff that we brought with us that we ended up not even using. And we're like, this is just taking up space. Why did we bring this?
Exactly. You can, like Vanessa, to go along with what she just said, is we met people that had $1 million man truck full on builds with washer, dryer, dishwasher, Starlink. We met people that were like on bicycles doing it. And it just made us realize, like, it doesn't really matter what you have. Because again, like Vanessa said, you can have everything. We thought of everything and fixed everything. I literally brought our truck to our mechanic before we left. I was like, make sure everything this is good. And that needs to be changed, change it. He looked over it. I looked over it. Everything was good. And we punched a hole in our transmission 2 weeks into our trip.
Yeah.
Because I didn't double check our U-joints after we were on the beaches. And we're like, oh, that was not expected. Just roll with it. Things can change instantly. Just roll, and there is no right way to do it.
Yeah, there's no right way of doing it. Do what makes sense to you and what works for you.
Yeah. Some people will do, we heard people doing the trip over 6 months. We've heard people doing the trip over 10, 20 years. There's some people that film every minute and YouTube and document and photo everything. There's people that do it and don't take a single photo the entire time.
Yeah.
Whatever works for you, that's the right way to do it.
Exactly.
Just getting outside and see the world.
Yeah.
What
were some of your favorite places? I know it's a hard question.
That is a hard question.
Yeah.
I have quick answers. You want me to go first?
Yeah, you go.
Because of my job and talking to people, ask me this all the time.
Yeah.
Favorite place for food was in Mexico.
Yeah.
Favorite place for surfing was Nicaragua or El Salvador. Favorite place, just climate-wise, was, or like landscape-wise, I really like Chile. Weirdest place, but one of the favorite places for how different it was the Bolivian salt flats, because it does not make any sense.
Why is that?
Awesome.
It goes on complete emptiness for hundreds of miles in every direction, and it's just salt flats forever.
Yeah, it looks like you're on snow, but it's salt and it's like hard.
Oh yeah, I have a photo on my phone, and it's our truck on the salt flats. It was a perfectly clear sky, and it is like bright as day out because the moon is reflecting off of this, like the ground so much. But you can see every star in the sky, and the ground is perfectly lit.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. It feels like you're in outer space.
Yeah. My favorite places are pretty much the same as Josh's. I think I also really liked Guatemala. It's just a very beautiful country culturally, and also really liked Colombia a lot too. But honestly, I loved all of them. They were so hard. Those ones stood out to us. And Peru. Okay, it's another one. Peru.
We liked all of them.
We liked lava.
But there was key things we appreciated a lot about each individual one.
Yeah, we like them all for their own different reasons. It was great.
Yeah, and it's different. The countries are so different along the way, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like you look at Mexico in comparison to even Panama. They're both Central America, but one's the top, one's the bottom. There's similarities, but there's a lot of differences.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just cool to see it.
So you guys went all the way down to Argentina, right? And then you ended up shipping the vehicle back. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So we drove all the way down to the farthest southern tip of South America. The farthest city is a city called Ushuaia in southern Argentina. And then you can actually drive, I think it's about 100 miles past that down a dirt road to the farthest southern tip of the continent, which ends at a military base. But you can fully drive down there. So that's where we actually finished our trip. It's funny though, as you get to the end and you're like,
Oh.
there's nothing here.
That's it.
It's just the bottom.
Yeah.
So it's an anticlimactic ending. The
Yeah.
sign's really exciting.
Yeah.
But then you're like, oh,
That's it.
that's
Okay.
the ocean. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's funny.
Yeah.
And then we drove it back up to Uruguay and shipped it back to Houston, Texas.
Yeah.
From Montevideo.
Yeah.
I know that the transmission wasn't the only issue. You had some engine problems as well, too, right?
Yes. In, I think it was Ecuador, our truck started burning oil.
A lot of oil.
And it started to get worse and worse. At first, it was maybe a quarter bottle a day. I was like, okay, that's more than we've been using the entire trip. Because after our truck broke, I got very obsessive with making sure everything was okay. And I checked all of our fluids every time we stopped or started. So I was always on it. But started burning oil in Ecuador, and it proceeded to get worse until when we finally got the truck back to Canada from Houston, Texas to Vernon, it burned 40.
Yeah, that was 42 quarts.
I think it was 42 quarts of oil.
Yeah, every 100 miles we had to top up.
Yeah, we were stopping every 100 miles and topping it up.
Yeah, it was
You're
very
lucky
bad.
you got
Like,
back home.
I was buying the big bottles of oil from Walmart.
Yeah.
I was buying them 4 at a time.
Yeah.
And I finished them. Every day we were driving home, I was finishing them.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, this is great.
Yeah.
Well, it was bad.
So after you guys got back, I've talked to other people that have been on long trips, not quite as long as yours, but you guys come back after being 9 months on the road. How do you get back to reality? A lot of people struggle with that.
Oh, man. I would say we still haven't really even gotten back to reality. It's weird being home and getting back to normal working job, not having to find a place to sleep, being able to drink the water, just how easy everything is again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's weird having all those luxuries that we take for granted, even though they don't even notice them when you're back home here. But when you're on the road, like not having a toilet or running water or like a warm shower or a big bed or whatever, like it's...
Being able to brush your teeth with water. Being able to shower every day. Being able to flush toilet paper.
It's also just weird because we get home after doing this incredible trip and it's, wow, we did this trip. And then it feels like everyone's just going by their day by day and they don't even notice that you did this trip. It's like, hey, I did this trip. But no one knows about it. It's so weird.
A moment that we share is funny is where we finished. There's like a final point of like the Pan American, which is like a sign at the bottom.
I have to go. Okay. I have to go. Oh, thank you so much.
No problem. Thanks, Vanessa. I appreciate you.
Josh will finish it off.
Alrighty.
But we got to the bottom of the like, Pan American Highway, and there's a sign. And it was funny is because when we got there, we pulled into the parking lot, and 3 tour buses pulled in at the same time. So it's funny as I remember Vanessa and I walking out, like looking at the sign, and it was a big moment for us realizing we were like, we did it. We've talked about this for years. Our dream was to drive here, and like we did it. And it was funny because this tour bus then pulls up, and all these people like push past us in front of the sign or taking photos by the sign, all these things. And we just started like laughing because we're like, we just drove for 9 months and 45,000 kilometers. And these people just drove 45 minutes and they're just like, they're more excited than we are right now. We're like, this trip was so much more than just like this sign. And so many people just aren't even aware around you of what you just accomplished.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's one of those moments where, again, this is actually with the salt flats as well, where it reminded us where everyone is doing their own thing. We're a small little speck on this planet that's so beautiful. And it's just so amazing that we just get to have this existence. And it was just funny to be like, this is the biggest thing for us right now, but other people have their own lives going on too. It's funny.
Yeah, it's after doing a trip like that and being at that point, I imagine it's, wow, we've done this. And then what do you do next? Or you're just almost lost, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where it was funny is because, again, like we got to the end, finished it, and we're like, okay, we did it. And life is still happening around us, obviously.
Yeah.
But what do we do? So it's funny is I remember even when after we loaded the truck up and got shipped to Vanessa and I, we had a day, I think, in Montevideo. And we were just sitting there and we're like, what do? We don't have the truck, so I guess we'll just walk around here. And still we're talking, we're like, what do you do now? Because again, during a trip like this, you're thinking through everything because it's where you're sleeping that night, where we're finding water, food, is it safe, is whatever. And all of a sudden, oh, I don't need to think about anything right now. Every detail is like thought about. Oh, I'm in a house right now. All this stuff is fine. I don't need to think about where I'm going to sleep tonight and all the little details of life.
Yeah, it's funny how all those little things that I'm not to say, I shouldn't say normal people don't think about, but normal people don't think about.
Exactly. Like it was funny. My parents asked, like, where would you shower? Oh, we'd have to plan that. Where again, like the average person, like, oh, where do you shower? Like at my house. That's an odd question to ask. But again, you're like, I don't have a shower. I don't have a bathroom. I don't have these things. And then coming back, where you're like, I have this, but I don't understand anymore. This is so weird. It's a super weird concept.
Yeah.
It's hard to describe.
Did you guys, when you came back, like, I know even after a couple of days away, I suffer when I come back and I'm already thinking of what I want to do next. Is that something you guys are, you and I talked before earlier a couple weeks ago, and you guys are planning on another trip as well. Do you want to explain what's going on with that one? Or?
So we're not 100% yet. We were talking with a few people that we met along like the road about what they're doing, when they're going, where everybody else is going. We know that we want to see more of the world. We're just not sure how exactly it will work. But what we're talking about right now is shipping the truck overseas, and whether it's working for a few more years and taking like a bigger lump sum of time off again, or if it's travel for a couple months, work for a couple months and back and forth. We're not sure, but we know that we want to do something again and we want to go somewhere.
Yeah.
But we'll be across the pond next time. The next big trip we have planned, though, is we want to finish the Pan Am, which is the northern section to Alaska. So we're planning on doing that next summer. We wanted to get the truck back rebuilt again, so it wasn't full of mold after shipping and was running properly again before just taking off to Alaska. So we want to finish that and then ship the truck somewhere else, but we'll see where that is.
Yeah. Speaking of mold, I did happen to see that on one of the videos or on your Instagram at Destined For Wild. And you did have some mold issues after getting it shipped into Texas.
Yeah, we had a really bad mold problem, unfortunately. It was a little bit of a chaotic day when we were loading the truck because with shipping a vehicle, it can be very simple or very complicated depending on where you are and how it's going about. When we shipped from Panama to Colombia, it was incredible. We shipped with a company named Overland Embassy, and they basically held our hand, helped us through everything. Like we didn't really have to think about it. It was amazing. Yeah. So 100% recommend their company. And when we were going from South America, we were using a different company because they weren't in South America. So as we shipped back, we got no details about how our shipping was working, when we were going, anything, until basically the day before we were going to ship. We were told, oh, maybe tomorrow or the next day, like we'll see. And that was it. So the next day we were like, all right, let's clean the truck, get it ready to go. We'll be fine. Like that way, if we go today, sweet. If we go tomorrow, at least the truck's clean, whatever.
Yeah.
And we showed up at his office. We're like, oh, so what's the plan? And it was, we're loading in 15 minutes. We need to leave now. So we're like, oh, okay, we are loading today. So we went to the shipyard, and other details we were not aware of were the container that we were in. We knew that it was going to be a smaller container because we were shipping by ourselves, where when we were in Panama, we shipped with a larger container because there's two vehicles. But what they didn't tell us, though, is that the height of the box was changing as well. When we arrived, we had all of our stuff on the outside of the truck because we had surfboards, we had roof racks, we had all of these things outside. And just to note as well, that morning it was really nice. We cleaned the entire truck. Everything was good. We had anti-humidity packs. Everything was great. When we were at the shipyard, it had started like pouring rain, like torrential downpour. And we were told Now we have to take everything off of the truck. It has to be inside of the vehicle. Again, it's a torrential downpour. And we have to get the vehicle inside the container in like about 5 minutes. Otherwise, like you're not sure. So we basically were like panicking, ripping everything off of the roof, unbolting stuff, like quickly like towel drying with the towels we had out still, and basically just throwing everything into the truck, basically damp. And we're like, hopefully we're fine. I have no idea. And basically put the truck in the container, closed it, and just hoped. And when we got it back, it was awful. The anti-humidity packs, they were in Argentina. They had these little plastic boxes you would buy, and they had the powder inside that would pull the humidity. But then the box fills with water. And we had it secured in our vehicle, but it was in a cargo net. And basically that whole thing filled with water, tipped over, dumped water all over inside the truck as well.
Oh.
So it sat in a hot sauna in a metal box on the middle of the ocean for a month. So when we got it back, the inside was covered in mold. The underbody, basically any bare metal on the vehicle was all rusted. The exhaust was fully rusted. Like it was bad. So basically I was greeted getting the truck back in Texas. We were told it was going to arrive 4 days before I actually got it. So I was supposed to have a week to drive back to Canada from Texas, and we had less than 3 days to drive from Texas to Canada. The west coast of Canada, I'll say.
Yeah.
So I got the truck back, basically put a t-shirt around my head, drove to a Walmart, bought whatever mold killer I could find, and cleaned the truck for 3 hours in the Walmart parking lot with my dad. And then we drove pretty well for 3 days home. And then also on the way home, the front diff bearings blew on the truck. So we had to pull the front drive shaft and drive home in rear-wheel drive. Those U-joints failed, had to get those replaced, and continue the rest of the way back to Canada in 3 days.
So the trip home was almost as eventful as a whole event upon itself.
Oh, yeah. Oh, also, I forgot to add, just for fun, I got gout as well on the drive home. It was so rough. I got into our driveway at 11:30 at night. We started driving at 4 o'clock in the morning that day.
Yeah.
And I had to be at work at 7:30 in the morning. So it was not ideal, but it's an adventure. And that's all part of it.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So the roads down there, I imagine probably a bit of a mixture of roads, right? You're going everything from what we call like an FSR to rougher roads, but there's also some highways down there too, right?
It was like, it's funny because the trip can be whatever you want it to be. There's paved highways the entire way if you want it to. There's not paved roads a lot of the way as well. Some highways are not paved. Most are. Some main city roads are not paved. Most are. But we saw everything and anything in between. We saw roads that went through rivers. We saw like literally like middle of cities and just full dirt roads to like perfectly maintained paved highways. And you're like, I don't understand. There's everything. And sometimes they're within like a couple miles of each other where you're like, I was on dirt 5 minutes ago and now I'm on like a perfectly paved stretch of highway.
Yeah.
There's also totally a lot of potholes. Completely.
And I assume they still have washboard down there like we do.
Oh, yeah. They have it's called a topes, and it is basically like speed bumps or like bumps. And it's essentially, if you think about dropping a telephone pole in the middle of a road, that's what they are. So they're the most aggressive speed bumps you will ever hit. And they're everywhere. And they're not labeled or painted a lot of the time when you're just about to hit it, that it's there.
Yeah. Yeah. As you're hitting it kind of idea, right?
Exactly. So new suspension's not a bad idea.
Yeah, you guys put on a lot of miles. What did it end up being for miles?
I think by the time we got home, it was 48,000 kilometers.
Wow.
That was like roughly, that was driveway to driveway from, because I took a photo the day we left in the driveway,
Yeah.
and then right when I got back into the driveway, and it like limped into the driveway on the way home. But we got it there.
That's the main thing. So going back to the people, that's one thing that's one of the reasons I would like to do the trip is just the different people and all that. What's one of the bigger things that you notice in the difference between, say, Canada and the US and the other countries?
Oh, okay. This is one that I found interesting. It's hard to explain, but I was talking to somebody about this last weekend, and this kind of made sense to them. Is in North America, it seems very much that we always have our guard up and have our walls up. When you meet somebody, it's always like hesitant to like really let them know who you are at first. That you're, oh, hey, like this is who I am, this is what I do, but not really the person that you are. Where it was interesting because everybody that we met on our trip, and obviously this doesn't speak for everybody, but immediate kindness, immediate openness, immediate just like, how can I help you? How can I be there for you? Come into my home, come meet my family. Just an overwhelming amount of like kindness and like love and just it's just beautiful. Just an overwhelming amount of love just like poured out because I just want to help you just because you're here. Where it seems like we're more reserved here and don't as freely just offer what we can give. That kind of makes sense.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I've found a lot of times, like, I don't have any experience in Southern or Central America, but a lot of times, from my understanding, the people that have the least want to give the most.
Completely.
Yeah. Which
like
is total opposite of up here.
Oh, exactly. And that's where it was like interesting is, again, like there was, oh man, that's a very good way of wording it because it's very evident. And I still remember I was talking to a friend about this on our trip. The houses that had the fences around them were the wealthiest families. And it was interesting because you'd look at the people who had the least and never had any barriers blocking anything because they were just freely giving. Where the way that they described it was they feel like they have something that they need to protect now and that they're afraid of losing it. It's interesting because when you allow yourself to freely give what you have, you often grant yourself a lot more.
That makes sense for sure. So and I guess you actually do see a lot of that in North America as well, too. A lot of people that have the least amount to give are the people that give the most. So I think you do see that in North America as well, too. So
yeah, definitely.
You probably notice it a lot more in the countries that you went to, for sure.
Oh yeah, like I'd say it's just more evident because they're in North America. There's majority of people are middle class, and that's just what you see everywhere. Where there's such a drastic gap in a lot of Latin America. Like one that I'll describe, which hard to like grasp, but I remember this so clearly, is when you drive into Panama City from the airport. Actually, on the left side of the highway, it used to be the Trump Tower. I don't know what it is now, but it's like a massive skyscraper, and there's shanty houses on the right side of the highway. So it's completely different worlds, only separated by a thin stretch of road.
Yeah,
and it's just so clear. Wow, there's a drastic difference between the highest of highs and the lowest of lows in this area. Where it's not very clear like that. A lot of the time, you'll see people struggling, but not that clearly and blatant right in front of you.
Yeah. Your neighbor may be struggling, but you don't know that, right? Quite often. So, what are some of the things that you and Vanessa learned about yourself over this trip?
Oof.
Like, I imagine that you are different people than when you left.
Completely. Oh, man. Okay, I'm trying to think. So, for myself, oh, man, that's a hard question. We learned a lot. I feel like we both learned. Okay, I'll say this one. This one's like kind of a cop-out, but I feel like we both learned we're a lot braver and a lot more capable than we think we are, because this forced us to allow ourselves to actually live at what our potential is. And that opened up a lot for both of us, where we're like, wow, I am able to do so much more than what I was holding myself back from. A little bit of a cop-out answer, but we did learn that we're more capable than what we really thought we were capable of.
It makes sense. There's times when you had to do things, right? When things go wrong or you have to deal with certain situations. But then there's other things like when you are going for a hike and you think, oh my God, I'm going to die. And then you still climb another 1,000 meters.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. I know I'm bouncing around here a lot, but one of the other questions I had was finding places to stay. So you guys were using, I believe, the iOverlander app on part of it. And I assume, did you learn of other places from, say, local people as well, too? A mixture?
Yes. So a mixture of a few different things. So iOverlander was definitely the easiest because, like, if there was an area where we had like more of like a travel day where we were going between areas we wanted to go to, we could just be like, oh, we're driving. This is the stretch of highway that we're on. Open it. Boom. We can camp. The spot's here. It's at a gas station. They have showers and fresh water. We're like, cool. Let's just go there. Simple, easy. Don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
But then there was times where it would be met somebody on the beach. They told us about another spot where we should go surfing. Went over there. Oh, there's a guy that lives there that told us there's a spot that we can stay over here. Boom. Okay, let's go stay over there. Whereas, sweet. There was times where it was just, you know what? We're just tired and we just need to sleep and we're just going to go here. Most of the time that was when we were in like bigger cities because we're like, let's just pull over in a neighborhood. Let's just sleep down below for the night. We don't know what we're going to do, so let's just do this. It's the easiest answer. So those are like the biggest ways. Is simply just like asking people and asking other travelers as well. That was really big. Is right because obviously they go from north to south and south to north. So people are always crossing paths. They see most people that are on this trip have an Instagram account. Everybody follows each other when they're on this trip. Then you just all chat to be like, oh, you're in this area. I'm going to be there a couple of weeks. What are our thoughts? Places I should see, whatever. So that was nice to be like, oh, we stayed here. This was good. We went here, blah, 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 blah. Just to find spots that felt good, safe, and everybody already had experienced.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that a lot of people in the overlanding world talk about is the community, the overlanding community. And that's huge when you go to events like the BC Overland Rally or Overland North in Ontario, and that is that everybody talks about the community. Is that what you guys found down there as well, too?
Yeah. Where it was interesting is like we joke about this is there was a weird mixture of like different cultures within it because there's the overlanding community, which was incredibly strong. But then there's also like this kind of like backpacker community as well, or traveler community, I'll say.
Yeah.
And then it's interesting because they cross over in some ways, but then don't in other ways. So there's like a mixture of all these different communities within itself. So it's neat to see where it's like, oh yeah, like overlanding, but then it goes into, like traveling. And then traveling has a broad spectrum. And then everything goes in within this in so many other ways as well, where it's cool to be like, okay, like there's different communities within the communities, which was really cool.
Did you guys end up staying, I guess, the odd time grabbing a hotel or a hostel or something like that and have a nice hot bath and a comfortable bed kind of idea?
Yeah, we did. We did a few times. I'm trying to think. We did not as much as we actually thought we were going to.
Yeah.
We did after our truck broke down because we had no place to go because we didn't have a truck.
Yeah.
So we did for about a week there. And then if we were feeling like sick or feeling down or just, no, I just need a really good sleep, haven't been sleeping well lately, or if we hadn't been able to shower for a long time or whatever reason, or if the weather was getting really bad. Because there was a few times where it was like super, super stormy or super hot. And we're like, we have to have AC tonight. It's just too much.
Yeah.
I remember there's one night we were in Costa Rica and it was 47 degrees, 100% humidity. And we're like, we can't sleep in the truck tonight. This is just, it's too much. Because overnight it would get to 38. So it's still stupid hot.
Yeah.
So we did a few times more once we got into South America as well. Because as it started to get colder and the weather got worse and worse, it was just easier to know what, let's just get a place to crash for the night. So we get a place probably about once every week or two. Once we're in South America. And the more south that we got, it got a little bit more frequent because we started to get sick a little bit. So we're like, you know what? Let's just take a couple of days here, a couple of days there. Just take it easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine it'd just be nice just to lie on the bed and have a hot shower and all that. So I
It was funny
totally
because
get that.
Central America, there wasn't hot water in most
Oh,
places or hotels. So still, I remember the day the transmission broke, I was covered in transmission fluid, side of the highway for, again, 9 hours. I remember getting to the hotel and being like, I'm so exhausted. I'm so dirty.
yeah.
I want to shower. And just turning it on, and it was just ice cold. I was like, I'm so tired. I'm so dirty. It's like midnight at this point, and I'm just having like an ice cold shower. I had my hair pink from the transmission fluid, and I was like,
Oh,
so bad. I hate this. But I will say, after coming home, it's one of the things Vanessa and I have both mentioned, that we both miss cold showers. That's one of those reminders where you're like, hot water is really nice. I like that I have hot
yeah.
water.
Yeah, no doubt. Hopping back to that Land Cruiser, is that a vehicle that you would recommend people do take? We talked about earlier about the Toyota reliability and a lot of spare parts. Because of Toyotas are everywhere in the world, there is spare parts for Toyotas all over. Is that something like an 80 series? Is that something you'd recommend for other people? Or
A quote that I heard that I liked and I stand by, and just to answer it in one, was, what does the Diamond Mines of Africa, United Nations, and Al Qaeda all have in common? They all drive Land Cruisers because they work. Simple as that. They don't break, and if they do, they're easy to fix. And there's another quote that I liked that I'm just going to throw in too, where it was, if you want to go anywhere, take a Land Rover. If you want to go anywhere and get back, take a Land Cruiser. Just going to hold on to that one too.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
So when this episode comes out, that's going to be in a couple of weeks, will be Thursday the 11th, which is the start of the BC Overland Rally. I'll be there. Are you guys going to be planning on attending that one?
Yeah, we're going to be there as well. We're actually, I believe we're presenting on Saturday or maybe Friday.
Cool.
Or maybe both. I'm not sure. But we're presenting at BC Overland Rally.
I know we talked about it when I met you guys in Vernon. I wasn't sure if it was the BC one or the Washington one. So
yeah,
that's going to be fun. That'd be really neat to hear you guys more about your trip and that. So it's going to be cool. Yeah, so shout out to Ray and Marianne from the BC Overland Rally. And if our listeners are going to the BC Overland Rally, you definitely have to listen for Josh and Vanessa and their talk. I think I talked about it a little bit when I was talking to you guys in Vernon, but have you heard the story of Ray and Marianne's trip from London to Singapore?
No, I've heard of it, but I haven't actually heard the story from them yet.
Yeah, you'll have to go back on our podcast because I did an interview with them a while ago about the BC Overland Rally, and then we got talking about this trip from London to Singapore in a Land Rover with 3 teenage boys in a Series 1 Land Rover, like a 1960s or 70s Land Rover.
Oh my gosh.
And he got out of a farmer's field that caught on fire on the way to the port. Got an idea. So you got to go back and listen to it. I split it up because that story is so incredible by itself. Yeah, to our listeners, if you haven't heard it, go back and check it out. I can imagine they're saying the heater didn't work and it was just breaking down every 3 days. But the whole thing brought back that whole thing about everybody being so friendly. They're going through countries like it was either Iran or Iraq. I can't remember which one it was, but they're going through these countries and they're breaking down and people are bending over backwards to help them. And it just goes back to that thing of that we're talking about earlier, where the people that have the least amount to give are the ones that give the most. And I think you see that in all countries around the world.
Exactly. That's good. Like, goes back again, like 99% of the world is truly kind.
Yeah.
People just want to help each other. Like, we're not really that different at it, and when you look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
They have hopes, dreams, just like everybody else.
What is one of your big hopes or dreams other than your trip that you guys got coming up next summer? And then you guys are talking about going over across or abroad.
Yeah.
What is one of your other things that you've been dreaming about?
Oof. That's another very good question.
Sorry. It just popped in my head. We can totally skip it. It's not a big deal. It's just
a big thing that has come up for us is where I'll say before this trip, we were very limited on how big we thought our dreams could be. And after doing this trip, realizing how attainable things really are. So our dream world, I'll say, so like our big dream that I'll share is we would love to be able to like do this full time, travel and document and just do like journalism in that sense, just because the world's truly a beautiful place and we'd love to see as much as possible and just share it with other people.
And it totally is possible. You take a look at, there's another young couple from BC, and I'm totally blanking on their names, but they did that same trip that you guys did, and they did it in a Toyota Tacoma.
Oh, Richard and Ashley? That's to glory?
Yeah, Richard and Ashley. Yeah.
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 We're friends with them, actually.
Beautiful. That's a perfect example, right? They've gone over to Africa and they've been traveling all around the world. So
yeah,
it's
like,
definitely possible for sure. So
definitely. I think they're in Italy right now. They were just in Morocco we met some of their friends at Northwest Overland Rally a couple of weeks ago that were actually traveling with Richard and Ashley in Africa. And Richard and Ashley are from the town next to us as well. So we met up and hung out with them over Christmas.
That's awesome. That is so cool. The overlanding world is so big, but it's so small.
Oh, completely. And it's funny is once you start meeting people, you just start to realize like, oh, you're friends with this person. Who's friends with this person? Oh, cool. We're all in the same friend group. Just we all live in different parts of the world, but don't really have a home. Have a home, but no address.
Once again, we were talking with Josh from Destined for Wild. Josh and Vanessa had to pop out for a bit, unfortunately, but we're still here with Josh from Destined for Wild, and you can basically reach them on Instagram and YouTube. And their travel down South America, great experience. And as we mentioned earlier, if you're going down to the BC Overland Rally, you definitely want to listen to their talk for sure. One of the last questions we ask our guests is, what Canadian would you like to listen to in a Before Canada podcast?
Ooh, what Canadian? Ooh. Have you had Alex and Megan from Slow Roamers?
No, I haven't.
They'd be a really good one. They're just about to start the Pan Am, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, they built out their van. They've been doing Baja the last couple of years. We met them in Baja, and when we met them was right when we were starting, and that was when they decided they wanted to do the Pan Am and were like locking in to do it. So I believe we just saw them a couple weeks ago. Actually, they came by on their way back from Mexico, and I believe they're starting in the next couple weeks. I'm not 100% on that though. But
I have to get a hold of them fast then.
Yeah, I'd say get a hold of them quick.
No, that's a great suggestion for sure. So cool. Awesome, Josh. I really appreciate you sticking around tonight and talking with me. And I look forward to seeing you at the BC Overland Rally. And
look forward to seeing you as well. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, definitely sit around, have a beer or something like that. And
we'd love that.
Because we could always talk about this all night long. So
exactly.
I'll definitely hook up with you guys there and we'll go from there.
Sounds awesome. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.